So right now I'm shooting a 6x7 film camera, and if you don't know what that means, basically it's just really large bits of film. So right now the 6x7 camera that I'm borrowing off my friend is in this little bag here, and it is this thing, the Mamiya RB67. So today is Sunday, and yesterday, Saturday, I shot my first rolls of film through this at a studio shoot session where I was taking portraits on my friend Oscar for his new band. And I think it was pretty freaking cool. Now this is one of those humongous cameras that was commonly used for portraits and studio work, and still is today. I've shot medium format film before in the 6x4.5 format, so it's like a little bit smaller. But this is a freaking big camera. Like if I was to compare the two, this is like the daddy and that's like the little baby. And yeah, shooting with this thing did seem a little bit intimidating at first, but once I had a couple of rolls and shots through, started to get the hang of it. Today is Sunday, and yesterday is when I shot the portraits, so I actually haven't seen the images yet, but it's probably gonna come out pretty cool. But yeah, I guess I'll catch up with you guys when I get the pictures back. So the last time we chatted, I believe I talked about the pros of shooting 6.7 film. And one of those pros, I mentioned the look that you get from 6.7 as compared to 6.45 or 35mm. Yeah, I kind of struggled to achieve this look with my photos, and I think that's partially due to how I composed the images. Let me explain that. So during the photo shoot, all of the images I took were against a white backdrop. I just had the subject standing basically in front of it. If it was two subjects or any props, it was all within the same field of view. So everything would have been sort of flat. I noticed that by doing this, it created a very flat look to the images, and I think that I could have achieved more by having a little bit more depth in the image. And I think I achieved this with one example image here. It's actually on this negative here. I'm not sure if you can see, but this headshot of Oscar here, I think really emphasizes the 6x7 look. It's a really tight crop on his whole head. The depth of field from this shot is like really insane. Looking at it on the computer after I scanned it in, the focus on his eye is like very sharp, but then the field of view just like really just blurs out like so smoothly to the back of his head. And yeah, I'm just really gassed because this image here is the epitome of that 6x7 look that I'm talking about. And I think I only achieved it with that and maybe one more shot through this whole set. But I quickly learned by looking at these that I can achieve more and pull more from the 6x7 camera by adding layers in the image and creating a little bit more depth in the shot. So at this point in time, it is the 10th of November, and I've already returned the film camera to my friend Jay. So thank you for lending it to me. Shooting the RB67 was really fun, and in fact I shot 3 more rolls of film with it before I returned it. In the last week I shot a roll of black and white, I shot a roll of Lomography 800 and also Cinestill 800T. And what I have in my hands here is actually the rolls of developed film. I got them sent back to me from the lab, so I'm thinking, why don't we open this up, scan a couple of the images, and I can discuss a little bit about some more things I like about the 6x7 film format and also the camera itself. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so I decided to only scan one of the film rolls that I shot with my friend Janusz and Amanda. And this was shot on the Lomography 800 color negative film. And yeah, these are the film negatives and it looks amazing. So like earlier in the video, I scanned the film negatives with the negative supply kit, basic film scanner kit. And yeah, it did a great job. I edited the colors a little bit in post, but basically the final images I'm extremely happy with. I've shot with Lomography's color negative 800 film a few times before, and I've really enjoyed the results that I get from these, especially with portraits. There's a little bit of a difference between the color negative 400 and the 800. Mostly it's just like a little bit more grain, which I don't know, I really like 800 speed film. I think Portrait 800, Lomography 800, Cinestill 800, they all have like a really nice texture to the image, which I do really enjoy. So yeah, it's cool. Now for this specific set of images, I don't have too much B-roll. It was a bit of an impromptu shoot, so we kind of had a limited amount of time and I just kept shooting, trying to get different images and a little bit of variety. Just by looking at the negatives here, I can already tell that there's a little bit of variety in the shots, full body, cropped in, headshots, and a little bit of playing around with foreground elements. I previously mentioned that from the first shoot I did, I realized that using foreground elements in the shoot, it really adds a bit of depth to your image and emphasizes the 6x7 look. And yeah, I applied that to this shoot and I think it actually turned out really well. So if you're shooting 6x7 film, what I would definitely recommend is trying to layer your images to create more depth in your shot, whether that be shooting against a background that has depth itself, opposed to like just a flat white wall, or incorporating foreground or background images such as hands or like foreground elements like a tree or leaves or something. I don't know, you just have to get creative, but what I did here was I used hands and I also used parts of the blinds in the background to sort of shape her face a bit. I don't really like that shot too much, but you kind of get the idea. So I want to mention one more thing that I really like about 6.7 film, and that is the aspect ratio itself. 6x7 is pretty close to 4x5, and if you're like a Instagram sucker like me, then this is pretty perfect for your Instagram feed. Like if you're scanning in with full bleed, so like you include like the borders and stuff, if you love that, like me, like I'm a sucker for those borders. I don't know, it just really frames the image in itself. And if you get the framing right and you scan the picture and it's got the borders and it's just perfect, like that is the best feeling for me, and I love looking at that. And to add to this, I think the aspect ratio is perfect for portraits because it doesn't leave too much room on top of the head or below the feet and to either side either. It fits nicely, especially when shooting those close-ups of like a head. I think that those images look really good with 6x7. And yeah, I really, really do like this. So we've talked quite a bit about the film negative, but not so much about the camera itself. So let's talk about that for a bit. So playing around with the camera itself was actually a really fun experience. The RB6x7 is renowned for its portrait taking ability, and it really lived up to those expectations. Personally, the RB is the only 6x7 camera that I've shot before, so I can't really talk on comparisons with like the RZ or like the Pentax 6x7, but I really do enjoy the RB. There's something nice about it. It's just fully mechanical. Build is like quite heavy. It's old, but it works really well. The lens I had on the camera was the 100 and something millimeter lens, and it was equivalent to about a 58 millimeter focal length in full frame. It was like really nice. There was like a lot of compression with the images, and you can tell with like the headshots and stuff, it's just quite a pleasant look to the portraits. I do want to mention that the focal length was a little bit tight for what I'm used to. I like shooting a lot more wide angle things. Yeah, it was quite nice shooting with such a compressed focal length. I got used to it in the end, but shooting in the studio and in the house for the second set of images, I really had to be like against the wall for some of the shots that I wanted to get. But in the end, I think the compression that this lens gives you really suits this kind of photography. Now, I could keep going on about the camera, but I think I'll just end it here. I don't want to bore you guys too much. Yeah, I just really enjoyed shooting the Mamiya RB6x7, and I'm looking forward to trying out a couple of the other options out there for 6x7 medium format. Yeah, let's wrap it. Thanks for watching. Peace. This is such a cool camera.